So thank you. Thank you for the privilege of being here tonight. I'm so excited about the work that the Deaconess Foundation has done, and I'm so excited about the work that you guys are going to do in this great new building. And Miss Marian Wright Edelman, you are my shero, you are my Beyonce, a living legend, can't say enough, so thank you.
The first time they came to Haley Farm, this is for us, and so thank you for the beautiful building. Thank you for the wonderful leadership, and I forgot to do that. I couldn't run for nothing.
It's gorgeous. Well, so my boss, Claire McCaskill, wishes she could be here, but she could not be here. And in her absence, she asked me to come and talk a little bit about what's happening in Congress right now. My name's Janelle McClure, and I am a legislative counsel working on a variety of issues, most importantly, healthcare, education, and judiciary for Claire. I want to talk about some of the issues affecting child poverty that are mentioned in the Children's Defense Fund has a report called Ending Childhood Poverty Now, and they lay out some policy proposals that the different levels of government can take to fix this nationwide problem. And so I want to talk briefly about a couple of those issues, starting with one that is before Congress right now. So right now, Congress is considering what is often called the Farm Bill. This is the Comprehensive Agriculture and Nutrition Support Bill. Most recently, it was reauthorized in 2014 with the support of Claire, but currently it is due for another reauthorization come this September. So the current Farm Bill includes key policies, priorities, like funding for food deserts, funding for emergency food, such as food banks and food pantries. But one of the most important aspects of the Farm Bill is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. Ms. Marian Wright Edelman mentioned the importance of SNAP earlier, and we know that SNAP helps lift kids and families out of poverty. In particular, we know that it lifts Black kids and family out of poverty. And so as Congress is debating this current Farm Bill, we need to make sure that we are doing the work to have a Farm Bill that will continue to lift children and families out of poverty. And for us to do that work, we know that it'll depend on the voices from you all and others pushing Congress in that direction, because there's another direction that Congress can go. The president's proposed fiscal year 19 budget included cuts to this program. It included a change to box nutrition plans. So we need to hear from advocates to make sure that we're doing what we need to do in the SNAP program. In addition to the SNAP program, the Children's Defense Fund's report mentioned several other policy areas that we need to hear advocacy on, in order to lift children out of poverty, including housing assistance, child care, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, TANF, and various other local, state, and federal programs. There are lists of specific proposals in that report, and there's new reports that are coming from various other proposals. We need people who will find policies they are passionate about and hold Congress accountable for those policies. Call the legislatures, many of which are in this room, write letters, attend meetings, attend rallies, but decide what you are passionate about and fight. Fight for the poor children who are unable to fight for themselves. Because we know that we can win these fights. And we know this because it's 2018 and the Affordable Care Act is still the law of the land. If you were to ask me a year ago, I'm not sure that would have been the case. But it is the case in part because we heard from advocates. If you asked me a year ago, I would have said that you wouldn't have heard from advocates on Medicaid. The Medicare advocates we always heard from, but the Medicaid advocates didn't have a voice, didn't have a population. That was proved wrong last year. I know that because I had meetings back to back to back to back from people who relied on Medicaid, from people who provided health care to those who relied on Medicaid, from parents with children with special needs who relied on Medicaid, from individuals with disabilities who relied on Medicaid. That population and many others, they took over our office. They took over our front office. They took over our office in Washington, D.C. They took over our office on Del Mar. They took over our office in Kansas City, in Columbia, across the state. And because of that, we are in this position where we can say, we still have Medicaid. We still have Medicaid, we still have CHIP, and we still have the ACA. And we have coverage for more than 35 million children because of those programs. I want to talk briefly about some of the efforts that Claire is doing to fight for children. So in addition to fighting for the ACA, the Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP, and Medicaid, my boss is fighting to make sure that children have a strong start. She recently joined a bipartisan push to increase access to OBGYNs, midwives, and other prenatal care, because we have seen story after story after story of moms-to-be who can't have access to the prenatal care because the wait times are too long, because they have to travel too far. We need to fix that problem. And so Claire has joined a bill to fight for that, because a healthy child starts with a healthy prenatal care. She recently co-sponsored legislation that was enacted to extend the maternal and infant child early childhood home visiting program, which supports initiatives like St. Louis's Parents as Teacher program, which gives parents the tools they need to be the best parents they can be. Claire's backing comprehensive criminal justice reform that retroactively establishes parity for sentencing inequities between crack and powder cocaine. This bill also has a pathway to ensure that certain juvenile offenders in the federal system have a clear system to have their records expunged and sealed. And this bill has bipartisan support in this Congress. In addition to this, both members of both parties are having conversations right now about the cost of childcare. Those conversations have not reached the consensus point, but the fact that we are having conversations about how expensive childcare is an important first step. These are just a few of the efforts that Claire is working on, and she will continue pushing for these and other efforts that help kids, because that is what she has always done. But when you leave here today, I hope that you make a list of your priorities. I hope that you tell your legislators and tell them repeatedly. Set reminders on your phone, to email, to call, to tweet about the policies that are important to you, because we are listening. And your voices make it easier for the legislators to do the work that they need to do. So now I'd like to end with where my boss would always start and say thank you. Thank you for fighting for our kids, and keep fighting for our kids.
I want to thank again Mrs. Edelman, and thank Janelle for sharing with us and the point, putting the point on the call to action for each and every one of us. I am the only person in the room, I think, that is getting a countdown on time to 8 o'clock. There may be other people checking it, but someone is texting me and telling me we got 2 more minutes. So, that being said, I want to do a couple of things in these 2 minutes. First, I want to do something I should have done before, which is acknowledge a few folks who were here, if they're still here, our Freedom School staff and servant leader interns who are present. I noted Yanae, but I didn't introduce you to Kaylin Holloway, our project director for this year. Candace was mentioned, one of our site coordinators. Extensions of our team who will be working with young people. Oh, Kelly Novel as well, one of our site coordinators for this year. So we're excited that they are extending the team and caring for young people in this way. I also want to give thanks to our friends from Gladiators Consulting. Rachel's the one who's been sending me them text messages, who helped to coordinate the event, our catering, the outreach to you, for their support in extending our team so that we could be. The last 2 things I want to do here, actually they're the same thing, but they have 2 parts, is turn your attention to a sheet of paper that's on your table. These conversations we have had today have been the first in a series that we'll be hosting that we're calling our Just4Kids Community Conversations, to introduce this community to Deaconess Center, to model the kinds of conversations about children's poverty, about children's policy, and building power for their well-being that we desire in this community. And so you see a list of folks who have informed our thinking and informed our work, who will be in this space, and you have the dates that they will be here. We encourage you to mark those days on your calendar, to look out for your e-news from Deaconess Foundation about more specifics about these events. Or we'll be talking about why social movements soar and being thoughtful about how we can make sure the movements for child well-being we're seeking to nurture here can actually do so. We'll be talking about racial equity and how it leads to growth for regions and communities when we're paying attention to the demographic shifts and how we can do that. We'll be talking about how we have quality conversations about the real stuff. Fearless dialogues as we center them. And we'll be talking about how faith communities can support families navigating the foster and adoptive care system. So we encourage you to mark your calendars for those events, to join us in this series of conversations and to have a little fun with us even before that. This Saturday from 9 to 1, we're going to have a community open house where we'll have children, we'll have families from our neighborhood and from throughout the region coming together to enjoy some bounce houses. There may be some older people on the bounce houses too. I'm sorry, there is a weight limit. We'll have bounce houses, we'll have building tours, we'll have food trucks and fun. We'll have about 16 of our partners from different agencies and initiatives talking about what they're doing to build power for children in our community. And you can get more information. Families will get more information about that. But we encourage you to come and be a part of this work with us. So come, bring your family members and friends. We look forward to having a few hundred of our closest friends in the space on this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. At the end of the day, we've got a charge to keep, and we have children to care for, and we've even got a powerful image of what we can be. I never knew I wanted to be a flea when I grew up. Dr. Greenhaw? But with all of us together, we can place the children at the center of our community's conversation, build power for their child well-being, and make sure that we are the community that we believe we are, that we desire to be in our heart of hearts. And we can make sure that our children flourish, thrive, sing, and dance, because that's what happy children do. God bless you. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Have a good evening.